engine just downshifts, you squeeze the throttle, downshift throttle. Hey guys, what's happening? Welcome back to Downshift Throttle. In today's video, I'm going to give you an initial overview about what it's like living with this M140i. I've had this car exactly 2 weeks today, and looking at the trip computer, I've done just over 450 miles. I am still in what they call the honeymoon period of the car, where I'm actually enjoying the car and I'm enjoying the options that are fitted to this car. Now what I'm going to do in this video is obviously give you an overview and go through some of those options that I think are a must on a car like this. Also, we're going to go around the car once again so we can get some exterior kind of shots in there and go into the engine bay and show you that new B58 3-litre straight 6 engine. Just check that prominent grille out. You know when this car's following you, it's a serious car. So let's go check out that lump under the bonnet. I don't know why, but on this BMW you've got to unlock that hatch twice, otherwise the bonnet doesn't open. Must be there for some kind of reason anyway, but hey. So there we go. Under that big plastic, you've got a 3-litre straight 6 turbo BMW engine for this M140i. Produces 340 brake, 500 Newton meters, which is 369 foot-pounds of torque. This is the B58 engine, which replaces the N55. One way visually you can tell this is a B58 engine is that the airbox is on that side. On the N55 the airbox is over there, and down here you have like a metal kind of a pump or a sort of a distributor. I'm not really sure what it was, but those are the kind of visual differences. Now, as I say, BMW state that this has 340 brake out of the factory, but some people, they've actually dyno tested their standard M140i's and they're producing something like 350 to 360 bhp. The tuning options for this B58 engine are really kind of endless. You can get like a JB4 tuning box which can take the bhp to like another 50, so you know you can get up to close to 400, and then you can put on an M performance exhaust as well on this to give you a little bit more kind of pops and bangs, and then probably another sort of 10 to 15 bhp as well. So very easy to kind of tune up, very easy to get them up to about 400 brake without, you know, even remapping or anything like that. So I might try something like that in the future, I don't know, but I'm sure I'll keep you guys all informed when something like that does happen. So in terms of options, I've gone for the coral red leather interior, the Harman Kardon sound system, the Pro Sat Nav, which now comes with the iDrive 6, and with the Pro Sat Nav you get the full black panel display which gives you more kind of driver information. I've got the paddle shifters which come with the 8-speed ZF auto box. You've got this kind of drivetrain button here which kind of goes through the Eco Pro, Comfort, Sport and Sport Plus, but an option which is a must on a car like this is the adaptive suspension. It only costs about £600, but what it actually does is it adapts to the road. Now what I'm going to do is go through this kind of option and show you what it actually does on the iDrive system. So this is the iDrive 6. Now the adaptive suspension, the way that works is when I'm going to hit sport on here, what tends to happen is you get an option that says configure sport, and if I go into configure sport you get 3 options: drivetrain and chassis, drivetrain and just chassis. Now the difference between that is when it's in drivetrain and chassis, everything is quite highly responsive, so you get like a good throttle response from the engine, you get a weighted steering feel, and the dampers are firm. You can then just select drivetrain, which only gives the engine response, and the steering and the suspension or the dampers are in comfort mode. Or you can just select chassis, where you get a weighted steering feel and a kind of a firmer damper setup, but the engine, again, the response of the engine is kind of sedated to give a little bit more of a comfort feel. This adaptive suspension setup that is a clear must on a car like this. I mean, I've driven a car which didn't have the adaptive suspension, and I drove another one that did before I obviously made this purchase, and the difference between the two is literally like day and night. It makes the car complete. So one of the questions I get asked is, what is this car like on fuel? Now I know this is a 3-litre straight 6 engine, so it's not going to be, you know, the most frugal car out there, but I mean, if I just flick through this sort of driver information, over the 483 miles that I've covered in this car, I've averaged 23.5 mpg. That is quite impressive if you consider that this is a straight 6 3-litre turbo engine. I mean, that's as good as it's gonna get, and in my book, that's pretty good. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go for a little drive around these kind of country lanes, and along the way what I'll be doing is I'll be flicking between the comfort and sport modes and give you a little bit of feedback in terms of what it's actually like in those kind of modes. I've obviously learnt the car over the last 2 weeks as well, so I can actually, you know, put my foot down a bit as well now, because before I was a little bit nervous being a rear wheel drive chassis. So come on, let's go, let's get this thing on the road. So guys, before I actually start this vlog, I think I need to clear something out from my last video. At times in my last video I actually referred to this car as an M car, and by calling it an M car I annoyed a number of people, probably most of the M car fanboys. And some of the comments that I was getting is, let's be clear, it's not an M car. So apologies for that, and I'm going to refer to this car from now on as an M140i. Hopefully I've got you guys back on side. So what do I think about this M140i that I've been living with for the last 2 weeks? Well, the chassis is really well balanced. Rear wheel drive, engine at the front, 3-litre straight 6, and around these kind of country lanes you do get that kind of sensation of being wafted along and kind of pushed into the corners rather than being tugged and pulled. It's quite a different kind of experience to all-wheel drive cars, and especially front-wheel drive cars. So at the moment we're in comfort mode and we're just kind of cruising at, you know, sub 40 miles an hour on this national speed limit road. The cabin is well insulated, you don't really hear much kind of, you know, engine sound, exhaust pops up, bangs, but what you do get is from a switch of a button and the gearbox in sport mode, you get up to speed really quick. The engine just downshifts, you squeeze the throttle, downshift throttle, and you absolutely fly. It's amazing that you go from a mini GT car to a proper machine, a proper weapon. So we're in sport mode, no doubt. So in sport mode, there obviously the engine comes alive, the exhaust starts popping and banging, and what I really like about it is that it actually selects the right gear approaching, like say, a bend. So here we go, we're literally just coming up to a bend and it's already dropping down a gear because it knows that it needs to be in the optimal gear to take the bend. It's a real weapon, this thing. It's got like a split personality, because in comfort mode it's like a mini GT car, and now it's a complete hoonigan. And BMW really know how to make a driver's car. Rear wheel drive chassis, 3-litre straight 6. You know, that's the perfect recipe for any BMW really. You can get this car with all-wheel drive, but only in Europe, not in the UK. I've not really felt the need that I actually need all-wheel drive. I mean, if I drive this car really like aggressively, then yeah, you know, the back end is gonna kind of stick out. But so far so good. So the cabin in this car is well insulated. You don't really hear, like say, the engine note or the exhaust pops and bangs. Now when it's in, say, sport mode, the engine is a little bit more like, you know, you can hear the engine note a little bit more and like the exhaust pops and bangs, but it's not as loud as personally I would want it to be. You know, if you're a pedestrian or if you're like another kind of road user, you know, you probably will hear these kind of pops and bangs, but I think that's something that, you know, they could have done a little bit more with. But this gives me the best of both worlds. When I'm around town, when I'm on the motorway, I can just cruise comfortably in, like, say, comfort mode, keep the gearbox in, you know, kind of standard drive mode. And then when I want to go for a little bit of speed on the track or on a back road, I can stick the car into its more dynamic setting, Sport or Sport Plus, stick the gearbox into Sport, use the flappy pedals, and the car turns into a serious machine and a serious weapon. Over the last sort of couple of years, you know, I've kind of gone through 7 or 8 cars, which includes like some big saloons, includes, you know, my last car, which was the Type R, and some city cars. This M140i definitely gives me the best of both worlds. I can probably see me holding onto this car for quite some time. And on that note, that's what I think about this M140i. It's a great all-rounder. So if you're deciding on whether to place that order on the M140i, I hope you found my initial kind of 2-week review on this car useful. Like, share and subscribe to my channel for more content on this M140i and other car content coming up. Hopefully I'll see you guys on my next vid, and I'll catch up with you very shortly. Take care. Bye.